Hello, thank you for joining us tonight. My name is Carla Parvin with ThinkLink 360. ThinkLink 360 is a training and consulting company that helps our clients clarify complex concepts. We offer CPIM and CSCP certification review courses, mostly in the Southeast. One special thing we offer is a 6-hour accelerated review of the CPIM 1 and CPIM 2 materials to help supply chain professionals finalize their preparations for these certifications. Tonight, we are delighted to be here in Greenville, South Carolina at the professional development meeting of the Industrial Crescent chapter of APICS. Our topic is inventory gremlins, how to find them, fix them, and banish them forever. We will review 3 key concepts of inventory accuracy. As part of our program tonight, we will run a short simulation of the company Goodie Bags Incorporated. Each team will build at least 3 goodie bags, note any issues that they encounter along the way, and then discuss these issues, their causes, and how to fix them. Thank you so much for watching the video, and have a great evening. Thank you, everyone, and thank you, John, for the introduction. It's great to be here this afternoon. We are going to be talking tonight on inventory gremlins, how to find them, how to fix them, how to banish them forever. Anybody remember the Gremlins movie from, what was it, 95 or 85, 84? Oh, yeah, great one. My kids were like 8, 9 years old about that time, so we were definitely into Gremlins. And if you notice, or if you remember, with the Gremlins, the little mogwai, there were 3 things. I'm sorry? Is the mic on? Can you hear me? Okay, yeah. Can everybody hear me? Yeah, because we can adjust this if we need to. Okay. With the mogwai, you were not supposed to expose them to light. You were not supposed to let water hit them. And you're not supposed to feed them after midnight. And when you do that, terrible things happen, which is what the movie is all about. And if you've not seen it, it's a fun one. It's a great little movie. And kids love it. It's pretty cool. Even a great little theme song goes with it. So, and what we're talking about tonight, we're going to hit on 3 things that you need to know about inventory and how to control inventory accuracy. So, it's APICS, so we got to start with the definition, right? So, what is inventory accuracy? That's when you measure the discrepancy between what the system says and what you actually have on the shelf. And when the 2 match up, that's good. But when they don't, it causes all kinds of problems. What happens when you don't have the inventory that you thought you had? Shortages, disappointed customers, expedites, expenses, right? Angry people. So not a good situation. So if we can do something to keep our inventory accurate and not have those shortages, what happens if you've got more inventory than you thought you had? Higher handling costs. What else? Absolutely, it can lead to obsolescence. You've got excess material that you have to count, you have to take care of, you have to store. Yeah, so again, it gets expensive. So if we can keep our inventory accurate, either on the high side or the low side, it's going to save us some money. And that's a big deal with companies. They like to save money, right? So we're going to try to keep our inventory accurate. Right. When do you measure inventory accuracy? When are you measuring inventory accuracy? When you're short, you go out and you measure, don't you? Absolutely. Yes, we go and we find out exactly how many we do have. We thought we had this, so what do we actually have? When else are you measuring inventory accuracy? Physical inventories, end of the years, cycle counts. Yes. So there are times that we are measuring the inventory accuracy, and sometimes we do better jobs than others. So we're going to talk about some of the times that we do measure it and how might be some better ways to measure our inventory. Okay. So to improve inventory accuracy, I said there were three concepts we were going to talk about: accountability, improve the process, and the appropriate use of technology. If you've been around APICS very long, you've probably seen a triangle similar to this, where we have people, processes, and technology. The first point that we have there on accountability, accountability starts at the top. The folks, the management folks, need to understand what needs to happen, and they need to support the activities and the people that are doing the hands-on activities with the inventory. What happens if you don't have the support of those folks? People don't do their job. What else? The problem doesn't get fixed. Why? Why do people not do their job? Why do the problems not get fixed?
No initiative.
No initiative. Doesn't seem important. Nobody cares. And you don't have the resources. Right? If you don't have the upper level management support, you don't have the resources that you need to do the things that need to be done to keep your inventory accurate. Okay? So that accountability piece, that's not just the folks out there receiving the material and putting it away and pulling the material and doing those transactions all the time. It's also at the upper level management. Okay? Need the accountability there as well. On improving the process, one of the best things you can do to improve your inventory accuracy is not do inventory transactions. How can we build stuff with not doing inventory transactions? How can we reduce the number of transactions that we do? Using Kanban cards, Kanban cards, absolutely. So instead of someone having to go and pull parts and put them in a bin and take them somewhere and you type it into a computer, use the Kanban cards. All right? What else can we do? Back flush. That's a big one. That's a huge one. So you have an automated system where you finish this group of products, this batch of products is now complete, pass through this work center. You now back flush the inventory that the bill of material says it takes to make that item, right? Could that be a problem? Yeah, the bill of material accuracy can be a problem. Especially when you do some of these wonderful automated things, back flush. But we used more than we said we were going to. Or we didn't use as many. All right, so inventory accuracy depends on bill of material accuracy. Okay? Reducing the transactions. What's another big way we can reduce transactions? Or not do them? How about VMI? Let them do the transactions. That's their core competency, working with, the hardware and the other smaller items and less expensive items. They keep your spaces stocked. You guys aren't having to do the transactions. So that you don't have to, worry about the inventory accuracy because you're not doing those transactions. You kind of outsource it to them to make sure that they have the materials delivered to you. Okay? And maintain them. So if we find we have an issue, how do we find the problem a lot of times? Yeah, we go to pull the material and it's not there. That's a problem, right? How else can we find problems?
On a pallet sitting somewhere with a bunch of material.
That nobody knew was there, right? Yeah. Or, what is this stuff? Yeah. Well, that came in 3 weeks ago. Yeah. So sometimes we stumble over them. Sometimes we find, that we don't have what we thought. Do cycle counts. Sometimes cycle counts will reveal an issue, correct? Okay. So when we find problems, what do? You could, you want to do something to drill down and find the root cause, whether that's an A3 process or whether that's a fishbone diagram or whatever the appropriate or the most relevant tool is to help dig down on that. Yeah, use some tools to go and find the root cause. Okay. Maybe the first thing you do is you get the material in here to replace the stuff that's missing. All right, so the production can continue, but then, definitely don't forget about the issue, and, that's another part of the accountability piece and making sure the resources are available. So you're not just chasing your tail, replenish, replenish, replenish. Set aside some time to dig down into the root causes and find the fixes, and then put the fixes in place. Okay. We also find problems sometimes when we do our physical inventory counts. Do those come back usually at like 90% accurate or better? No. With physical inventories, we typically find some issues. Sometimes we cause some issues when we do physical inventories. Yes, but again, another way of identifying problems. So then we'll have to do something to go and find out what the cause of the problem was, and then put something in place to fix it. What about this appropriate use of technology? Barcoding can be a great one. It absolutely can. Has anybody seen any issues where technology was misapplied? Absolutely. Yeah. You go through all the work of, identifying the proper scanners and where we're going to place them and all this other stuff, and then they don't use it. That's the thing about technology. Your people are going to tell you whether it's working or not. If they're not using it, there's something wrong. Or if they're using it in a way that you didn't intend it to be used, there's something that maybe needs to be addressed. Did they ever get trained on the new process? Is the new process, has it been documented? Is it out there? Is it available? I did a project when I was at Thermo Fisher. In Thermo Fisher, the facility in Asheville, North Carolina, where I worked, we make great big refrigerators and freezers. And we make little tiny refrigerators and freezers. And we make, refrigerators and freezers that take you down to, like minus 300 Kelvin or something, really, really super cold stuff. To do all that, it takes refrigerants. And when I started there at Thermo in 2008, we had about, I think it was 12 different refrigerants that we used, and in varying quantities. And as years went by, some would be discarded because they were against regulations now. Regulations change and everything, and different ones are brought in. So it changed over time. When I got there, when I started doing this particular project that I'm thinking of, which was Kanban for the gas cylinders that we had in the outdoor storage area. Had a roof over it, but it was outdoors. But everything was kind of jumbled up. They didn't have assigned locations for the various things. They didn't hardly even know how much they really needed. So that was one of my first projects there, was number one, analyzing how much of each of these refrigerants we used and get a good handle on that and who our suppliers were. At that time I was in the sourcing group, but I was kind of doing because of my background, I was doing some crossover with the IT group and doing a fair number of projects with them. So first you gather your data. How much are you using of what? And then once you find that out, where are we going to store it? Where do we have it now? What's a better way to do it? How are we going to control it? We decided we were going to set up Kanban for these refrigerants. So I laid out the area there with some little aisles and the buckets, the bays for the various refrigerants were sized to give us a week and a half worth of usage because our supplier came every Tuesday. And if we needed resupply before that time, they could make a run within 4 hours. So we were very comfortable setting the amount at a week and a half. So we arranged the area so that there were little bays, each of the refrigerants, and I made Kanban cards. Okay, I got Kanban cards. Where am I going to put these Kanban cards? These things are cylinders. They are, like this big around, and anywhere from this tall, some of them are this tall. How do you attach a Kanban card to that? Well, I got real creative, and I got a plastic folder, and I cut it in a key shape, circular, with a circle in the middle and the little division so that it would slide over the top of that cylinder. And then it had a little pocket down here to put the Kanban card in. I was real proud of myself, except they didn't use it. That was disappointing. Okay, but all right, they're not using it. Go find out why they're not using it. Because they found a better way. Instead of fiddling with that, I thought it was cool. You just take the little collar off, you put it on the Kanban location, and it's all kind of cool. But no, they weren't using it. They were taking just the card and putting it in another location, because we had another area close by. They'd bring the materials out of those bays, through the dock doors, and to wherever they needed to. There was an area right here that had some shelves set up, like for time card slots, for Kanban cards. That's what we used it for. They would put them right in there, so they knew what they needed to. And then they'd scan them once a day. We wanted real-time scanning. It didn't work. So we had to revisit it. But, we kind of worked on it, and parts of it worked, parts of it didn't. We take a step back, I had even done beautiful procedures, the whole thing. So I was doing the project right. So sometimes you just have to step back and revisit. All right, and then we got even smarter. Okay, why do we even need these Kanban cards? Why can't we do VMI with these materials? And that's what we eventually got to. Except for, there were 4 types. When I left there in 2017, there were 4 of the gases that were in smaller containers, and we used them more infrequently. So those we still ordered, but the rest of it was done with VMI. One of the things that helped there is one of our gases suppliers consolidated with another, and we had been buying from both, so now we buy from one. So, yeah. That's just one thing where the technology, it needs to be used appropriately. And watch how your folks use the technology. Even if you think you've walked through it and that you've done a real good job of thinking of all the possible ways, the things that could go wrong, and document the process, they're going to tell you how it really works, okay? And they'll tell you how to make it work better. So just keep those lines of communication open, okay? All right. One of the best tools for digging down on root cause is fishbone diagram. Everybody heard of fishbone diagram? Anybody not used a fishbone diagram at one point in their life? Okay. Well, I found an example of a fishbone diagram as it relates to inventory accuracy, and it's one of the best examples that I've seen. So that's the one we're going to take a look at. With the fishbone diagram, the whole idea is that you draw something that looks like the skeleton of a fish. You've got the horizontal line. Up here at the head of the fish, you put what the issue is. All right, so we have a inaccurate inventory record. That goes here at the head of the fish. Then on the bones of the fish, you put, various things that could contribute to having inaccurate inventories. And then coming out from the bones of the fish, you have even more detail on why this thing could go wrong. So take a look at this one. They didn't use the standard designations on the bones of the fish. There's the industry standard where you have the materials and the man and the methods and all that. They wanted to be even more specific. So their bones are, and I've split it. I filleted the fish. So we've got the bottom half of the fish here. We'll show you the top half of the fish in a minute, okay? But on the bottom half of the fish here, the bone here is wrong skew. So that's one of the issues that we're seeing. The thing that could cause inaccurate inventory is that we've got an incorrect skew. We could also have the count is low, which we experience frequently. And then there can be just the general clauses bucket, anything that they can't figure, fit somewhere else. Things that could cause the wrong skew, picking the wrong skew. How about the lighting in the area? Is there adequate lighting? Right? Is the label unclear? Labels are wonderful, barcodes are wonderful, but if they're, are damaged or they're obscure some kind of way, they're not clear, then it can be mistaken. They can be, you can pull the wrong thing. Maybe the SKU has been misidentified. You put a label on it, but you're putting the label for X on item Y, right? Long part numbers. What's wrong with a 15-digit part number? Yeah, it's easy to type it in wrong. It's hard to remember it. It's hard to, they're just, And I've worked at places that had 20 digits for their part number, and they wanted to go to 25. And they had promoted me to the materials manager from being the bill of material coordinator, and I said no, because that was about 2 years after I had started working at Apex, or doing my CPIM certification. And so I said no, if anything, let's make them shorter. So I didn't win that battle, but we didn't go to 25. On the count is low. Why might count be low? Could be theft. Undocumented withdrawal. Is that the same thing as theft? Not necessarily. Not necessarily. Could be. The thief's not going to give you a little written receipt. I'm taking this stuff. Charlie. Right. So undocumented withdrawal. Parts are put somewhere else. Yeah, we say we're going to put them in bin XYZ, and somehow they get put somewhere else. So, that would make the count in bin XYZ be a little low. All right. Delayed input of receiving data. If the material lands on the dock at 7 in the morning, and the transaction's not recorded until 4 that afternoon, and you need some at 10 o'clock, could that be a problem? Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. And the ones with the little gray boxes around them are the ones that, to me, kind of stood out as things that you might not ordinarily think of. All right. So under general causes, software malfunction, that never happens, does it? Nah. Illegible handwriting, that never happens, does it? That's why we try to go to barcode scanners and Kanban cards and stuff to avoid some of that. Distractions? Oh, heavens, yes. Yeah, I'm on the high side of 60 now. I tell you, that one is a big problem. That's a big problem. All right, don't distract me until I make a note as to where I am, please. All right, now you can talk to me. Data input error, shipping error, receiving error, insufficient training. Okay, so all of those things. How about on the top half of this fish? And I pulled this from strategosinc.com. There's a lot of good information up there, a lot of good free stuff up there. Quarterman Lee is the guy's name, and he's got some good stuff up there. Wrong location, and the count is high. So what are some of the things that could contribute to the count being high? Delayed input of shipping data. We think we've got more than we've got because we've already shipped it out, but we haven't recorded it yet. Okay? Undocumented return. Material has landed on our dock, but again, it's not in the system yet. If it's not in the system, that's where we're looking. When we run MRP, or when we're looking to, say, can we complete this, special order that's come in? Yeah, undocumented return. All right. Lost parts found but not recorded. And closely related to that, how about the fella that wants to be the hero by having the stash of parts at his desk, at his work center? That never happens, does it? Yeah. 3 years later, he pulls one out on the hero. but that was 3 revisions ago. Yeah, that can happen. Poorly marked location. In that instance, how could you counteract that one? It's a culture thing, isn't it? How do you counteract that, where the folks like to squirrel away a few parts just in case? Stop running out. Give them some confidence in the system. Give them some confidence that they don't need to keep that little extra down there so that they can complete the job and get their work done. And, yeah, confidence in the system. And then, of course, there's the training part and the culture part. But yeah, if the system is good and solid and people can start trusting the system, then they don't have the inclination to keep those parts, keep their stash. For wrong location, poorly marked, and that could be poor labels. It could be part of the issue there. Unmarked locations, no location code at put away. So, yeah. I got one for you on that. I worked in the warehouse I now work part-time at Print Pack in Marshall. We make plastic bags for the medical community. Folks put their stuff in there and seal it up, sterilize it, all right? And then when it gets to the hospital, they've got that nice, neat, sterilized package. They just open it up and go. I worked in the warehouse for 3 weeks. They had barcodes for the locations. And our stuff is on pallets. So there's pallets of stuff getting put on the shelf. But I kid you not. If this was a barcode label, I'm supposed to scan it from this far away. And the barcode label was about half that size. And in addition to that, it was right here by the next barcode label. You think that's going to be kind of hard to hit with a scanner from 10 foot away? Yeah. You think I was having to hop down off of the forklift and go, yeah, you think I had to? Yeah. I was not happy with them. And they're talking about doing it differently now because I documented the issue and reported it nicely. Okay. But, yeah. Location full. Maybe we've got insufficient space. Maybe we're over ordering. The cool thing about the fishbone diagram is it's very, very flexible. In this case, we're going to take this little chunk right here for location full because that's been being an issue for us over and over again. We're going to dig into it a little more. And we're going to take what's right here and expand on it. So now you can dig down into it. Location full. Why is there insufficient space? Low turnover. Are we getting somewhere now? Maybe it's some of those obsolete parts, or slow movers. Okay, maybe we've got more than we need. Obsolete inventory, poor quality, poor workflow. All right. For insufficient space, we got low turnover. How about inefficient storage racking? So this can be a great tool for digging down and getting to the real root causes of issues. Right, just one good example. Right? All right. So what we're going to do next, yeah, we got plenty of time, is we're going to make some goodie bags. We've got a little company called Goodie Bags Incorporated. We actually had fewer tables than I thought, so there are actually 2 bags on each table. So form a team. You can form 2 teams at your table. And you need to grab a goodie bag, and before you open it up, everything you need to make at least 3 goodie bags is in this little bag. And when you do open it up, first take a look at it. If your cat is upside down, that could indicate that there's known problems with your inventory, just to give you a little warning, okay? So there's 2 bags on the table. You might want to grab the one that doesn't have the upside down cat. Right inside, close to those bags, is a group of little pieces of paper. Just reach in and grab those pieces of paper and pull them out. That'll look something like that. We'll get to the candy. Okay. So, With this, when you fold down the front flap, it's got goodie bag rules. That's the pink one. It's got goodie bag rolls. That's the blue one. Then we've got orders on paper. Then we've got inventory count sheet. And then the big sheet that's folded over is your issues recording sheet. So if we take a look here, these are the rules. Open your goodie bag, count all the items in the kit, and record the counts on the inventory card. So the small yellow card. Record your counts on the inventory card. Then you've got 3 orders. Complete those 3 orders. Right? If the 3 orders cannot be completed, can you use a substitute? You may have extra stuff in your bag. Your bill of material may call for a rat. You may not have a rat in your bag. Can you use a bat? Okay? That's what we're talking about there. If you don't have enough, let's see if we can get you enough material. Then, and here's the learning part. This is where you capture your learnings. Yellow sheet. Okay? All right, go for it. That's what the issues card is for.
Cats on the same bag. Oh yeah, there's 3 black.
Great big team of 2. You guys doing all right over there, Darius? Kevin?
Okay, 1 pumpkin bag, 3 pumpkin bags. How many bag guys?
Let's see if they're the exact same.
No, they look the same.
Yep. Those are the.
One bet. Pretty close to that.
But if you need a substitute, you can call it a pumpkin bag, right?
One bet. One's Tuesday.
If you have 3 orders, can you complete substitutes? We are substituting what we were missing. So then we're saying requisitions to
How's it going? You guys got 4. Sip, sip, sip. Yes. In general, just everything. Yeah. Capture them all. Yep.
Wrong item, wrong count.
Which only means that the material planner needs to prioritize the whole.
Yeah.
That's all that boils down to.
There's a sequencing rule of your job order. First come, first served, very full.
So after you've completed your inventory, put together your 3 orders.
All right, first order. Here's a picture. How are we supposed to do this? How are we supposed to make an order?
I'd have to do a substitute.
Order number.
It's got a pumpkin on it. We can call it a pumpkin bag, right?
Yeah, but see, you got to mark that way as to the date.
This one we received on Monday 6 months ago.
Those are definitely toys. These are toys. If it's not candy, it's toys.
So we need to fill this order first before we can do the 3 toys. Because it doesn't matter what toys here. It matters what toys are there.
Good point. Excellent point. Do the ones that might cause a constraint.
But the question
Yep,
is, what do we do
absolutely.
with the leftovers?
And then here's your third one.
And or
Okay, so we already filled it.
Oh, you've already filled it. Okay.
We cannot fill this order because we don't have any copies.
Okay. Can you substitute something else? Substitute.
We don't want to go too
How's it going? 1 order complete. 2 complete. There you go. Okay. All right. Are you redefining what goes in the order? Are we redefining what goes in the order?
Yeah, I got a sub with stamp.
There you go.
So I'm
There you
subbing
go.
it. Now, I did do some resource planning because we have to, we're running not have the right.
There you go. You look at all the open orders and which ones can we fill, and absolutely.
Hershey Kisses in the last.
Why aren't you hungry for lunch?
So what kind of issues did we run into? Excess inventory. Not enough inventory. Wrong inventory. Product was wrong. Vague instructions. Okay. Very good. You prioritize the jobs according to the parts that you had. Excellent. Excellent. Yes. Very good. That's a good learning to take away from it, isn't it? Hey, that's good. That's why we keep them around, right? We can learn. Okay. So we come up with all kinds of issues. We dig into the cause and then we find some fixes. So let's take a look at some of these. If we had the wrong item, why might we have the wrong item? Did sourcing know exactly what we wanted? How much of a specification did we give them? How specific was it? We might have told them we wanted some Halloween toys, and they got whatever was cheap on the spot market. That ever happen? Forecast could be wrong. Yep. Right.
No quality checks.
No quality checks. No inspection, no incoming inspection. Maybe the bill of material was incorrect. Maybe there's been some revisions to items or to the bills of material, and they haven't been recorded in the system yet. Right? Or maybe someone's working off of an old sheet that doesn't have the latest revision. Okay? And then approved substitutes. Substitutes for the items. You can do that. Systems, you can have approved substitutes. Right? How about wrong size? Wrong size can cover a lot of territory. It could be the length, the width, the thickness. It could be the thread pitch. It could be the color. A lot of stuff could go into making the item be wrong. Again, coming back to the specification. Was it specified clearly up front? And is it on the bill of material correctly? Okay. Wrong count. We talked about a fair number of reasons for that earlier. Manual entry. How about the box quantity? Maybe you've been buying boxes of 10, boxes of 10, boxes of 10. Box quantities changed to 12. You ordered 1 box. Could be a problem, couldn't it? Unrecorded issues and receipts. So the material's been issued, wasn't entered into the system. Material's been received, not entered into the system. Could have been in the wrong location. In this case, we didn't run into that because we just had our little kit to work with, but we talked about that some earlier, where some of the issues could be manual entry, long part numbers could cause keying errors. Just trying to manually enter, manually key something, leaves you wide open for errors. The barcode could be damaged. The barcode could be small or crowded. Okay, so there could be lots of reasons. So how would you go about fixing something up here under wrong item? What would you do? What are some of the things you could do to fix some of these things? Have a very strict revision process. And when an engineering change order comes down, make sure that everything that needs to happen to make that change be complete is done very completely and accurately and thoroughly. And then make sure somebody's not working off of old documentation. That gets back to your procedures. That gets back to your culture, right? Make sure everybody's working off the correct thing.
Put in a process that was similar to cycle counters.
Yes. Yes. That can be a great help. Yeah. Because the bill of material being inaccurate can definitely cause issues. Yep. How about the size? These things. Ordering the wrong stuff. Comes back to the specification, doesn't it? Also, comes to your suppliers. You may give them the specification, but if they don't fulfill it correctly, they're not reading everything that's there on that specification, that can cause you problems. So give them good specs and then enforce that they adhere to the specs, and that can be, hopefully, after a couple of deliveries, you're now very clear on exactly what you need. You may have received something wrong to begin with. You go back to them, you work with them, and get it all straightened out. Right? Wrong count. We talked about this stuff a little bit, digging down into why we've got wrong counts and such. That box quantity, that can be a mess. If the supplier changes the box quantity on you and you don't notice it for a couple of weeks, all right? Especially if the box quantity goes from being 12 to 10. You may have a little bit of buffer, you may have some safety stock in there, but it's going to catch up to you. And now you've got maybe 3 weeks worth of discrepancies to go back and try to untangle and adjust. And then locations. If you're going to use the technology, make sure it's clear. As a project manager, technology person, not a person on the floor, I know for myself that I'm up here and I'm writing the procedure. What I need to do is get myself out on the shop floor and walk through it before I finalize that procedure. I take that procedure that I think is going to work and I go grab 1 or 2 people off the shop floor and we go through it in detail and make sure that there was one of the issues that we had earlier was incomplete instructions. Make sure that you're working with the people that are going to be using that procedure and that they're understanding it the way you think they need to be understanding it. Okay? So, communication is a wonderful thing. Too bad it doesn't happen more thoroughly and more often. All too often it's incomplete, and that's why we've got 2 ears and 1 mouth, right? So we need to listen more than we talk. Just listen to the folks that are out there actually doing this stuff. Any other questions, comments, observations? Anybody? Yes?
One thing maybe mentioned after the barcode, but now we're using RFID tags, and that technology may have overcome a lot of those limitations.
Absolutely.
Like
Yes.
we're talking about the barcode like that with the RFID chip.
Yep.
Can eliminate some of that.
Yes. Yeah, that's the nature of technology. You know, you come with a new technology, it solves some problems and maybe creates some others, and then we come up with another technology that helps solve some of the problems. And yeah.
I'd like to share one inventory problem I came across when I was in the workforce. Was the what we call drops on raw material. So they wanted to be a just-in-time manufacturer, and so say we had to cut 30 pieces on a width of material, on a width of steel,
Right.
and you can get 50 pieces across it. They only wanted 30.
Right.
So the operator would cut the width on a share,
Yeah.
cut the 30,
Yeah.
and then the remaining drop would be thrown away. But the inventory said there was so many square footage allocated to that job because they're only the 30 instead of the other 20 that went on. So basically the other piece of material went to back to inventory. The 20 pieces that could have happened got thrown away in the
Right.
hopper.
Yes.
But in the system, it said you
Yes.
had this many square feet, and then the actual raw material was different. And so I pointed that out. It didn't work out so well, but I pointed that out, and it's like you're making your lot sizes inconsistent to what that can be. And they were stuck on being just in time, and they wanted to produce only those lot sizes and have the inventory accuracy of the, well, you can't have one without the other.
So what could they have done? If a certain lot size they wanted fitted on this size piece of sheet, but what you were currently getting was this size sheet,
Well, we could have changed
change the size.
Or we could have got, instead of using a shared process, we could have got a laser cutter and cut 30 out, and then you would have had this nice whole piece of steel that could have went back in inventory.
Yes.
And you didn't have to inventory all the drop pieces associated with that. That was just, you couldn't do that. Not
Yeah.
when you have hundreds of different raw materials.
Yeah.
You got a big sheet, you're not going to bring this little.
Cutting pieces out of a sheet of metal is a real detailed,
They could have used and for that. But that was one thing I noticed when I was in the workforce, was that problem with
Yeah.
the lot sizing to the
Raw material.
technology is not consistent then with the material actually going back in stock.
Right. And it starts with recognizing that there's an issue.
Yeah.
Then, dig in enough to get the full information as to what the issue thoroughly is. We have this much left over. We want to do this size lot, and we're using this size sheet, and we're using only this much of it. Then have the accountability to come back and say, okay, we need to either increase the lot size, and I know you don't want to do that because you're just in time, and that's great. So let's decrease the size of sheet that we're punching it out of. But you have to have the accountability and the commitment to be willing to do that kind of digging down and solving.
Yeah. Well, that issue was then there was already hundreds of different
Right.
footer issues.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
They're like, well, you're just going to start adding more raw material to that, and they didn't want to do that either.
Yeah, when I was at Thermo Fisher,
The best solution was to go to a laser cutter, so you could just do that, but then, that was $1.5 million.
Right.
And they didn't want to do that either.
Actually,
Well, when you bring in the right
we did
size.
that. We had when I was in aerospace, we did thin sheets, but we set up the yield factor on the item so that it would consume the whole sheet. But the drops would be returned to
Okay.
inventory as a different
There you go.
department bill. And they would be usable for things that were like one-offs or various
Yeah.
types of items.
I don't know the size of your operation, but we had hundreds.
Well, this is
Probably
the same
even
thing
close
with
to 500-600 raw materials out in the stock.
oh yeah,
this is
Yeah.
supplying Boeing and Airbus
Yeah.
and stuff like that.
I mean, I think that would work, if you didn't have a lot of raw material inventory, but there's like 500 different pieces of raw material steel out there that had to be hauled out on the crane overhead. They
Yep.
weren't carrying that 2 foot by 4 foot piece of steel out there.
Right.
For that. But one way, what could we we tried to do it though, was try to group all the jobs together that use that raw material.
Yes,
So
yes.
the operators could use the drop.
That can help.
Then you have to coordinate with the job, because now the operators are going to cherry pick what jobs they want to do, and that's a whole mess too. So we try to say, group the jobs together using that raw material first.
Yeah.
But then we were just in time, because, well, we need this next, and it was a mess.
Yeah, it gets back to that people piece and the culture. Yeah, it's not an easy thing, and sheet steel, punching the pieces is one of the complicated. There are techniques there to help you handle it, but it does take the commitment to invest in those technologies. But yeah.
But their overall solution, they got rid of all their component manufacturing.
Yeah, outsource it. Yeah. If it's not a core competency for them, that can make perfectly good sense. Absolutely. Yeah. Let somebody else have the headache. Let somebody else, buy the laser cutter.
That was the argument, because we had suppliers, and the suppliers could do it. Why couldn't we do it? And so eventually that was their decision to get rid of all the component fabrication, and they just started to assemble.
Yeah. Okay. Other observations, questions? Yes.
So if you have a management team focused on other priorities besides inventory, it's a good way to get them to see that inventory is valuable, and focusing on it and making it a priority is important. If you just have a big culture issue,
Talk to them in dollars. Talk to them in dollars. They'll respond to dollars. Tell them how much it's costing them to not do it right, how much you could save if it was done right, how much it's costing not just in materials but in people time. And these resources could be doing something else if they weren't having to take care of these issues. Yeah, but understand where they're coming from, and then talk to that understanding. Talk to what's important to them. Because if you're just talking about what's important to you, they don't care what's important to you. They care what's important to them. Everybody out there is on the radio station, WW, what's in it for me, okay? So understand where they're coming from, what's important to them, and then talk to that. Other questions, comments?
What if your inventory is something like sand, oil, or waste, and it's just not measurable?
Okay. You allow for it. You have some ways to handle yield. You have some ways to record what the spillage would be, and when you order more sand, you accommodate for it. You account for that. Absolutely. But yeah, there are industries and materials that are like that. You're going to have some spillage. You're going to have some spoilage, and you just have to account for it with your yields and order what you need to cover for that. Yeah. Other comments on that? I mean, there's a lot of years of experience in here. Any other ways of handling the sand spillage issue? Any other ideas?
One of the things we used to do is some chemicals and stuff like that that was sold like that. We used to do it with expense it off when we first came to the door. We have a signal system.
Okay.
So when you need to order more, you trip the order point.
Yep.
Trip the signal that was there to replenish the supply at some point in time.
Yep.
And then you can adjust for anything that's excess or not excess.
Yeah, you may have a Kanban for, this container of liquid. Sometimes you get containers, big, containers of liquid. You order that, and then as you're using it, some may spill, et cetera, but you order to replace that container. So you're not really concerned so much about the spillage on an ordering kind of basis. You order full containers, use as you need.
That way, make sure you're recording how much you're spilling at the beginning, because as it gets larger, or depending on how much it costs, do you use that to drive more development to reduce the spillage?
Exactly.
Or reaccumulate it and use that spillage for something else. But if you account for the cost behind it, then you've got some method to go back and say, we need some support.
Yes.
Instead of tools to help us reduce, wherever that spillage is, so.
Yeah.
Definitely make sure we're accounting for that.
Yeah, it's a great point.
The expected time frame for the use of the stuff, and so when they trip that point, then if it was too soon, there was something wrong, we had to find out what that caused.
Right.
If it was too late, there was something else that was different that was caused. So we still have to look at it, try to figure out what the discrepancy was or what caused it.
Good point. Yeah, have some triggers like that, so if something unusual is happening, you're alerted to it before it causes you pain. Okay, and more and more, to Darius's point, companies are becoming more and more environmentally conscious, so they're very conscious about any spills and that kind of thing. So there's a lot more resources being focused on that now. So record the information and go to them and say, and don't just go to them with a problem. Go with a solution. Okay, research it a little bit. Find out what are some of the things that you could do to recover that material, or to maybe it needs a better material handling widget of some kind. Here's the issue. Here's what I think we can do about it. Here's what it looks like it'll cost. Go to them with that information. Other comments, questions? All right. Well, thank you. It's been a wonderful audience. Thank you, folks.